welcome back to my YouTube channel. Subscribe to it and share the link with your friends together with the videos. Okay, so we'll continue with these questions. In the last video we ended on question 4. We're going to continue on question 5. You can watch question 1 to 4 in the other videos. Just look for them in the playlists. Okay, so without wasting time, we'll continue from 5. So question 5 is saying we give the, okay, probably they wanted to say we've been given the short run total cost function to be total cost function 100 plus this, the way it is like that, where total TC is the total cost and Q is the level of output. Okay, so those are the two things that we have there that you would want to ask on. Question 1 says determine A, the total fixed cost. So what you have to understand first is what are total fixed costs. So we have, so we have total cost, right? On total cost we have total fixed cost plus total variable costs. So you have to understand what total costs are, you have to understand what total fixed costs are, what total variable costs are, for you to solve all these things that are here. So what are total costs? So total costs are simply costs that are incurred by a firm when it is undergoing production. So these are costs. You shouldn't put total costs again in the definition. You just say these are simply costs that a firm incurs when it is undergoing productions, which include what? Fixed costs and variable costs. Now, what are fixed costs? So fixed costs are simply costs that do not vary, they do not change when outputs change. Okay, then variable costs are simply costs that change due to the change of the outputs that are coming out. If there will be more production, variable costs are going to change, while fixed costs do not change even if they are variable costs. The inputs are a load or any other thing that can incur there. So what are total fixed costs on this total cost function that we have? So total fixed costs are just costs that do not have a Q. Q will mean quantity, right? So here total fixed cost, the total fixed cost there is going to be 100. Okay. What are variable costs? So variable costs is just this part, the whole part with Q, that's the variable cost. You just put variable cost there is equals to 50Q minus that, that is the variable costs. What are average variable costs? So average variable costs, these are costs that so average variable cost is simply the total costs per labor. Okay, so whatever, okay, sorry, I made a mistake. Total cost, so total cost per labor, whatever cost that you reached at per labor, that is what we're calling average variable cost. So you divide everything here, average variable costs, okay, total variable costs, average variable costs. Sorry, I made a mistake. Okay, so this question was saying average variable costs, right? Average variable costs. So average variable costs, these variable costs that we have, so we put variable cost there, total variable cost. So average variable cost is simply average variable cost over the quantity. So you just divide these variable costs by quantity, and by dividing this equation that we have there, remember that you are ignoring this 100 that is there. We just have 50Q minus 12, just like that. So Q minus, Q in 50, this Q, we cancel that Q there, you cancel there, you cancel even there, you cancel that. So you're going to remain with 50 minus 20, 2Q plus Q power 3. So this is the average variable cost. Okay, sorry for the misunderstanding. I don't know, I actually didn't read that props, but otherwise okay, we can continue. So having that said, we can continue to D. D says we find marginal cost function. So the marginal cost function is going to be found by differentiating this equation. So those, differentiation from grade 12, you just say dy the total cost over the quantity. Why we say the total cost is because this thing that is outside, remember the y was outside and x was inside, right? Well, that's why we said dy dx. Now we're saying the total cost, the quantity. So that is how it is. So you just differentiate the thing that is there. Remember, a constant is 0. There, that cancels, remain with 50 plus 2 times 12 is 24. 24, by the way, it's negative. And then plus 3q power 2. So that is, but there's a negative here, sorry. Okay, so that is the marginal cost function. Question 2. Question 2 is saying calculate the total cost, average total cost, average variable cost, and marginal cost when the firm produces 10 units. So those costs that you found total cost, total fixed cost, total variable cost, average variable cost, and marginal cost. You just replace wherever there was 10. I mean, wherever there was q, you put 10 there. The answer that you're going to find, that's the answer for total costs, average variable cost, and everything. For you to calculate total cost, you're just going, this is total cost. So here you just replace 10, you replace 10, replace 10, then you punch on the calculator, the answer that you're going to find, that's your answer. Okay, so these things that I'm saying, you should be doing it on your own. Okay, do it on your own. At least you instead of just watching the video, at least you should be doing something. Okay, so that is how you do it. Okay, we move on to 3. 3 is saying calculate the level of output at which average variable cost is at its minimum. So here we just get the average variable cost. You replace it with q. I mean, you replace it with q, which is this one, yeah. Then you find your answer. So what I mean is this: we're going to first find average variable cost from here, which the average cost we have 50, like that, yeah. So we are going to, you can differentiate this equation, you differentiate it, okay, you can differentiate it, and again you differentiate it again, then you find your answer. Or since they've said calculate the level of output, so you are trying to find the value of q here. The value of q there at which AVC is at its minimum. So what you can do here is use the minimum and the maximum formula for mathematics. So you can say x is equals to negative b over 2a. So x is going to be negative 2. You say 12, negative 12 times negative outside is to be positive, yeah, to be positive, like that. Okay, sorry, just a minute. Okay, to be 12, like that. Then the next thing you say, we have 2 down there, by the way. 2. What is our a? Our a is 5. So like that. I mean, our a should be 1, probably. Sorry, should be 1. Okay, should be 1 there. So we have 1 there. So x is going to be, if we multiply 1 times 2, it is going to give us 2. So 12 divided by 2, it is going to give us 6. So our x is 6. So this is x. This is the output that you are looking for, the level of output, which is 6 units. So these units, you just replace here. You replace here where there's x. Where there's q. You put q there, 6, 6. Then you do your calculation. You're going to find the price or the actual average variable cost. Okay, I hope that is clear and everyone has understood. Okay, we move on to question 3. Okay, I think they made a mistake. Should be question 6 or so. Okay, so this question says, it says, explain what is meant by constant tends to scale, increasing tends to scale, and decreasing tends to scale. Briefly, explain briefly how each of these might arise or exist. So these 3 come from the tends to scale, or they just come from the scale. Okay, so they come from the tens of scale. So the tens to scale is simply it is just a time period that can be said to be when there's a time when a firm would decide to say, okay, since this is basically in the long run, a firm would be like, okay, let us try to double our inputs to see how our outputs are going to be uh, responding to the doubling of our inputs. Okay, so they'll double labor, they'll also double capital to see how the inputs are going to come out. So now constantly tends to scale. So this is when they double these two, and then what comes out to be the same. So if they double this by 10%, these inputs by 10%, and then what comes out is also by 10%, it means that this is constantly tends to scale. Now, increasing the tends to scale means if they double this inputs and then what comes out is more than probably the example they added by 10 and then it comes out to be 20, maybe probably 20. It means that it is increasing the tends to scale. Decreasing the tends to scale, if they double by 10% and what comes out is less than 10%, probably maybe let's say 5%. That's the answer that you find. It's less than 5%. That's it, it increases by 5%. Means that it is decreasing the tends to scale. Now, how can each come in? So increasing the tends to scale comes in when there is efficiency, productivity, whereby the inputs labor is specialized. The firm is too small. The firm is small. Everything is specialized. Everything is being used properly. The resources that are there are not being wasted. So the firm is whatever it is producing. Here you're going to find that the outputs are going to be increasing, and the more they are adding labor, the outputs are going to be increasing without losing out anything. So yeah, they might arise because of that. And then constantly tends to scale, because these are now specialized. You find that they are now specialized. They've started producing at a specific point. For that reason, you're going to find that constant returns is going to just stick at a certain point, because they've started they're now not adding any other thing. They are now specialized. They're now used to that. Kylie, at first here, they're trying to get used to what they're doing. The more you're getting used to something, you produce more of something. You get what I'm saying? You're getting used to a specific thing. You are not a chef. You're learning to be a chef. The more you're getting to be an expert, the more efficient you're becoming. And now, once you become efficient, you become okay. Now a chef, payment, you become used. That's why now we talk about constant returns. You become used now. The production is just going to be there. Now there'll be a point where now you're tired of producing, or maybe let's say they add more people. They continue on adding more people. You find that um the firm is now too big and it is too hard to manage. And then now decreasing returns comes about. Find that the more they add and the outputs, just the more the outputs are coming in, the more cost that they are paying. So that is how it is. Question, this question, next question, saying true or false or uncertain. So please fully explain your answer, including diagrams where appropriate. So you can include diagrams where you feel like including. Question A says the short run marginal cost curve is always increasing due to the law of diminishing marginal returns. So the short run marginal cost curve is always increasing due to the law of diminishing. Okay, so this is false, because they are not always increasing. Even though it was going to be true, as in if there wasn't um, always, still the short run marginal cost curve cannot always be increasing. I mean, it will decrease first and it will go up due to the law of diminishing marginal returns. At first it will decrease because adding more labor will produce more output. The moment it starts to go up, it means that the adding more labor will just cause you to be making losses, as in whatever they're going to be producing will be less than what you expect them to produce. Okay. And B is saying if marginal cost is increasing, then average cost must increase as well. So this is false because marginal cost can be, so we have this graph. Okay, we have this graph. So we have marginal cost increasing like that, we have average cost like that, we have um average variable cost. Okay, we can have average variable cost and average cost like that. So marginal cost is decreasing, and this one is decreasing. This one can be rising while this one is still falling until they meet at the minimum of the 80 80, I mean ATC. That's when it will start rising because it has been pulled up. Okay, so this is false because it is not always certain that when this is increasing, this one should also increase. It can still be falling while this is increasing. Marginal cost is increasing. So C says if a firm if firm's production function exhibits decreasing marginal returns in each factor, then it must also exhibit decreasing returns to scale. So this is false because these are two different concepts. So as you can see, decreasing marginal returns is simply a short run concept, while decreasing returns to scale is a long run concept, though they are both production uh, production functions, though, but they are different concepts. This one is in the short run, that is in the long run, so it can't affect the other one. If this one is okay, so like the answer is false, like I've explained without wasting time. Just that, without me going too deep to something that is just direct. Okay, so the next question says, if a firm has U-shaped convex marginal cost, then AVC and MC are equal at the point where AVC is minimized. This is true because if they are U-shaped, they are U-shaped like that. AVC is going to be like that, so they are going to meet at the minimum there. Okay, without wasting time, that's the graph you can also illustrate with. Okay, question 5. Question 5 says, you are told that a firm has a fixed production cost which is 3,000 and a constant marginal cost of production which is 600 per quantity. So we're saying per quantity times Q. Determine the following cost functions. So A, they're saying determine the total function. So total cost function is going to be given by 3,000 plus 600 Q. So that is the first thing that we have there. B is saying average cost. So average cost is simply you just dividing this by Q. If you divide it by Q, it will mean that we're going to have 3,000 divided by Q there plus 600 because Q is going to cancel. Okay. C, average variable cost. Average variable cost. What did I explain on variable cost? We said that these are the ones that have Q. So we just get this one with a Q, which is 600. So we just we divide it with Q, then our answer is going to be 600 only. Average fixed cost, you get this one without a Q. We just divide it with Q. We get 3,000 divided by Q. Average total cost is going to be everything here divided by Q, and it's the same answer that we just found here, this one. And explain what happens to the average total cost as output increases. Okay, so as output is increasing, as output is increasing to the average variable cost is going to be decreasing at first as output is increasing, and then it will reach a point where it will start it will to be constant. After that, it will start going to increase. So there's three stages that are there: economies of scale, constant returns to scale, and these economies of scale. At first it will be like that, then it will go like that, go like that. So here it will be going down because of economies of scale. It will be constant because of constant returns to scale. It will be increasing because of these economies of scale. Okay, I'll cut the video from here. Thank you for watching. Let's continue the video starting on the perfect competition from here. Subscribe to the channel, share the video with your friends. Thank you for watching.